Okay, we will go ahead and get started here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jamie Staten, and I am the Family Engagement Specialist here at TRECA. And for today, we're kicking off our Navigation Station for Learning Partner session. This will be a virtual session that we'll have for families about once a month, just to go over various topics that we feel will be beneficial for you and your students. A couple of quick things to outline. Feel free to keep your microphone muted if you're not speaking. That way we don't get interference. Also, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, as well as we will have question and answer time after each topic, so you can ask your questions that way. We are recording this meeting, so anyone that was unable to attend live, they will be able to go back and watch this recording, and we will post it in Brightspace. So for this month's topics, we will be talking about how to be a good learning partner, the School Family Pledge, and the Family Guide to Google. So I will go ahead and turn this over to our first speaker, where we're going to talk about how to be a good learning partner.
Sorry, I'm pulling up the document. Just one second. All right. So what exactly is a learning partner? So the learning partner is the designated adult supervising and assisting with the child's daily schoolwork. This is the person that is usually the one to be at the orientation with the student that has enrolled them, that is planning to, like it states, to be their learning partner, to help them along in their classes, to get them started each day, and to be there as their guide. We Thank you. So there's different times, the amount of times that this learning partner should be helping the student. Obviously, if it's, like it states, if it's a kindergartner through first grade, you're going to be spending a lot of time as or working with your student. All students, like it states, all students will need more assistance at the beginning of the school year as they become more comfortable with the new school environment. Parents will likely see their children's independence increase as the school year progresses, and that's with any grade. But kindergarten through first grade, it is 4 to 5 hours per school day. So you're going to be working pretty closely with your student as well as the teachers to make sure that they're getting on in the mornings, getting on to their scheduled live sessions, and just pretty much guiding them through the day. When it comes to second and third grade, those hours decrease a little bit, but still they're going to need your close assistance in getting them on, getting them to do the sessions, helping with the schoolwork. And then as the grades go up, it does decrease, but the learning partner is so important because we need your support with this being an online school. It's not like regular school, where you're sending your student off and the teacher is their learning partner because they're the ones working closely with them each day. But it's different in an online environment because we need that support from the parent to, for one, make them log in, to get them up in the morning, to have them in a steady workspace where it's free of distractions. They have their computer in front of them, their notebook, or any tools that they may need to get them started in their classes. So it's so important that we have a designated learning partner. And this may not even be the parent. It may also be a grandparent as well. Or maybe if you have an uncle or an aunt, somebody that's helping them. But it's so important that they do have this person helping them each day. Because if we don't have that support, it is very likely that they They're not getting on, they're not getting their hours in, they're not getting the required amount of work. So it's very important that they have this learning partner.
And if we jump to the next slide, so Mrs. Humphreys talked about what a learning partner is and the time amount that we should spend with those per day. And like she said, as the ages go up, the independence typically grows. So they may not need to be as present for that full 5 hours, but they still need to be monitoring them. So I just want to kind of touch base on ways that you can help assist as a learning partner. And like she said, setting a daily schedule, making sure that there's a quiet workspace for them to work at. For older students, that may be a bedroom, that may be a kitchen counter, that may be somewhere just where it's free of distractions. If there are the other siblings home, you definitely want to make sure that they have something so they're not getting distracted by that and they can be successful in their courses. When it comes to setting a daily schedule, most students have about 5 classes per on their schedule at least. So when you're mapping out their daily schedule, you want to make sure that they're setting aside times each day to work in those. We encourage that all students work in each class at least once per week. That's for all students. Now, the flexibility with those schedules may vary depending on our elementary to our high school students. Elementary, we definitely encourage that they're working in each class each day. So they may want to create a schedule that they're working in like 1 hour per class, whereas a high school student may have a little bit more flexibility and they may choose a schedule that's like 1 class per day. So they just want to make sure that they're spending all of those hours in that class per day. But helping them create those schedules, those time frames, maybe if they are needing assistance and when the learning partner's home, if you're a working parent, you're definitely going to want to create a schedule that is time when you're home as well to kind of help look over this. And those are all things that you can talk to their advisors, to their teachers with to get more support and guidance maybe on what works best for that particular student. Another thing that a learning partner would be doing is checking over your students' progress. And this is something that you want to do on a daily basis. At the end of the day, after they've completed their hours and they've done coursework, you're going to want to go back into their Brightspace, look under the grades tab, make sure that that work is getting submitted. And that's, again, something that you'll be in communication with the advisor about when they're giving you those frequent phone calls and communication. That's something that you can discuss. But you're definitely going to want to check all of their classes every day and just make sure that that work is getting submitted. And then another thing is, as a learning partner, is you want to double check your students' emails. It's so important that they're engaging and communicating with the staff members. They're going to get emails on a daily basis from both teachers, advisors, counselors. So you just want to make sure that you're getting those updates as well and that your student is responding back to those emails as they get them. And like I said, staying in close communication with their advisor is the best way because all of these things that we're looking over, that's what the advisors is calling to give you updates for. And so they can definitely work with you and kind of give you tips and tricks to help you be successful and help your child be successful. And then another thing that a learning partner, a way that they can assist is logging off time in Evolve. So all time that's spent in Brightspace and in Odysseyware is going to be automatically calculated as their time. But there are some external assignments. There might be an external site, or they may be working on an essay, or maybe doing vocabulary, or whatever the task may be that's not directly in Brightspace or Odysseyware. You're going to want to put that time into the Evolve portal. And if you don't have an Evolve portal set up, you can definitely reach out to your advisor or to the help desk, and we can help you get set up with one. But you want to log that time in there for the teachers to approve that time, and so that you can make sure they're getting their attendance hours. And then finally, obviously, like Mrs. Humphrey said, just motivating them, making sure they're getting up each day, making sure they're getting logged, and just encouraged to do their schoolwork. And then on my next slide, all of those things, obviously there's lots of responsibilities for the learning partners to help keep the student on track as well. But just so you know, there are plenty of resources to help you. Like, you're not alone in this. As far as checking progress, essentially it is just going to your students' Brightspace and looking under their grades tab and making sure that consistent work is flowing through. But on our trekka.org website, we do have a step sheet on there that gives you a complete walkthrough of how you can look at your child's progress. There's also a really neat YouTube tutorial made. It was a barrier buster video, and this was made by one of our advisors last year, but you can definitely check that out. She gives a wonderful way and tips and tricks also on checking and monitoring your child's progress. Another thing is the block placement chart. So this is a wonderful little chart that is going to give you a whole year's worth, and it's going to show what block the child should be in by said date. So if you follow along with that and have that resource handy as a learning partner, you can always double check it to make sure that your child is in the appropriate block that they should be in by that time of the year. And then again, just back to the school schedule, we also have another YouTube tutorial on that as well, just giving you tips and tricks on how to devise this. I know that plenty of teachers as well as advisors have a lot of this, like these resources posted in their homerooms. And if you're not sure where to get those, definitely reach out to the advisors and we can provide you with any of these resources just to help you be successful as a learning partner and help your child be successful in their classes. So I don't know if anyone has any questions regarding how to be a great learning partner.
That was really good information. I have a quick question for the block placement chart. Do they get that from their advisor specifically? Is it in their class somewhere? Do they get that from their teacher?
Yeah, so I know a lot of the middle school teachers have devised this, and I believe a few of them have put that in their homerooms. Personally, as an advisor, I send this out to parents at the beginning of the school year just to give it to them. A lot of students, I give them frequent reminders throughout the school year, sometimes in mass emails, especially if I'm talking to a student about progress and such, I provide that. So I would say more than likely the best person to get that from would probably be the advisor. We definitely have those handy, but it is posted in some teacher and advisors' homerooms as well.
And I do know that usually this goes out at the beginning of the year. Someone will, either teacher, advisor will share it. And we even at least in the Southwest office, we have incorporated that into orientation. So that's that is one of the pieces of paper that they get in their folder when they come for orientation, which I believe a lot of regions, I think we've all kind of done that this year. So any new student this year should have a block chart, which I think, and that should continue. But like she said, almost any teacher is probably going to have this block chart or their advisor. So they can always reach out to them for it if they've lost it or need it again.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. We will go ahead and move on. I don't see any questions in our chat. So we'll go ahead and move on to the school family pledge, kind of what it is, what that means to us. And I will turn it over to Mrs. Westendorf.
Okay, thank you. I'm Stephanie Westendorf. I'm the school improvement coordinator here at Trecca. And I'm excited today to talk to you about our school family pledge. This is a document that is probably familiar to you. I believe you see it each year at the beginning of the year. So we just wanted to take a minute to talk about the purpose of the document and then to go through it just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So the school family pledge is a document, and it's an agreement between the school, the family, and the student. And it outlines each of the responsibilities that each of us have in supporting student achievement. So we all have a very important role to play. And this really breaks it down for each of us so that we understand the responsibilities that each of us have, and also the things that we can do to ensure that the student is learning in the most optimal way. So first, in the agreement, it outlines Trecca's commitment to the student and family. And these are items that Trecca promises to do for your student on a daily basis to ensure that they can be successful. The first is that we promise to provide your student with high quality, online, individualized instruction with support of our staff and teachers that is compliant with all of the requirements that are given to us by the state of Ohio. We will also always work to contact the parent and guardian of each student by phone, email, or US mail in case the student falls behind. So we do commit to staying in contact with you. We will also provide information about your students' progress by having their online gradebook available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can always see how your student is doing. We also post the hours during which our teachers and advisors are available through email or chat, and those are posted in each classroom so that your child knows when they can contact the student and how to reach that staff member. And then lastly, we commit to providing the student with the necessary equipment that they need to access their online learning environment. All right, and then before we go into the part of the parent, guardian, and student, we wanted to share a few of the ways that we will try to reach the family and student if there is an issue with attendance or engagement. So these are some of the ways that we will attempt to reach out and re-engage the student so that they can meet those attendance and progress expectations. The first is that if a student is absent, we will give you a call. So you'll receive a phone call on the day of the absence. We also will request that the parent or guardian and the student attend a conference with teachers to discuss progress. And this can be face-to-face, it could be online or by telephone. We also have our SAFE department, and a SAFE representative could make a home visit to see if there is anything that the family or student needs help with that will help them re-engage and get access to their learning. And then lastly, if there is a prolonged issue with attendance, then there could be a potential for a complaint to be made with juvenile court. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so this is the parent and guardian section of the pledge. So this is something that you see each year that you will initial off on and sign off on. So for the parent guardian pledge, it really goes along with the learning partner expectations that we were talking about in the last section. So you'll notice that it's very similar. But as the parent or guardian, it's your role to ensure that your child logs in for 5 hours and 7 minutes each school day. It's also important not only to log in and attend, but to be engaged and submit work during that time. So it's very important to be active as you're attending. There are, of course, reasons why a student sometimes must be absent. And if that occurs, we ask that you please notify our attendance officer of the reason for the absence so that they can document that. Next, we also want to ensure that the parent, guardian, and the school are communicating about any questions or issues that might be interfering with the child's progress. So if there's ever some type of issue, we are here to help, and we just ask that you please contact us so that we can provide you with that assistance. Next, it's very important to promote positive use of your child's extracurricular time. So by that, we mean, for example, like limiting screen time, ensuring access to hobbies or sports or anything like that, that would be a positive use of the student's time after school. Then it's very important to keep your parent login information confidential and accessible. So please keep that private to you, but also in a place where you can access it so that you don't lose it. And then the last point here is references the importance of our state mandated testing. This is a requirement that is put forth to us by the state. So your role in that process is to bring your students to testing and ensure that they attend every test to which they are assigned. And then at the very bottom there, there's a little blurb. As your family's education provider, we want this to be the best learning environment possible for them. But we do ask that if you ever find that this is not the best place, that you will contact us and we will see what educational provider would be in the best interest of your student. All right, and then the last part of this, so we went through the school commitment and then the parent guardian commitment, is the student commitment. And the student also has a very important role in their own education. We want to promote their ownership of their learning. And these are some ways that they can take an active role in their own educational success. All right, so the first part of this is that there is, of course, a first day of school every year. If your student starts after that first day of school, we want them to understand that their start date then is their orientation date. We also ask that they ensure that they log into school each day for the 5 hours and 7 minutes and to also be actively working during that time. If there is a reason that they have to miss school, again, please notify our attendance office. We also would like the student to commit to understanding that this is a self-directed program and that they're responsible to reaching out to their teachers, advisors, or counselors if there are any barriers that are preventing them from accessing or completing their schoolwork. Next, within each course, there is an explanation of the course expectations and some information about what to expect in the course and how the course is outlined. So it's very important for students to read through all of that information so that they can be successful within the course. And then lastly, it's important to have that active engagement that we spoke about earlier so that the student can make progress. So it goes beyond, of course, just the being present the 5 hours and 7 minutes, but to be actively present and to be working during that time. All right, and then just a few more here. We do want the student to keep track of their own progress and to make sure that their courses are complete at the end of the school calendar. So that block calendar that we were talking about earlier, that's an important tool that the student can use to ensure that they're staying on track. They can also use their gradebook. And if they're ever not sure, always reaching out to the teacher or to their advisor is going to be an excellent resource, as those staff members can help them create a schedule that will help them either catch up or stay on track. And then we also want the student to commit to communicating regularly with their teachers and advisors. If they ever have any technical issues, please contact the call center so that we can resolve that issue. We do have a statement about our plagiarism policy. Plagiarism is when a person takes credit for work or ideas that are not their own and submits it as if it is their own. And so we want to avoid that. So it is our policy that if a student has committed plagiarism, that they will receive a 0 for that assignment, but then they will have the opportunity to redo the assignment so that they can earn full credit. So we do want students to understand that plagiarism is not acceptable and that we always want to give that student the chance to submit their own best work. And then lastly, if there is any breach in this agreement or any issues, where a student has not met their part of this plan, then we will create an intervention plan, and that may require an on-site meeting with our administrators here at TRECA. As I mentioned earlier, each year, the families and students sign this pledge to review their responsibilities and also renew their commitment to student achievement. So this is something that we do touch base on each year. And we just wanted to take the opportunity today to really go through that and talk about kind of the why behind it and explain the importance that each role has in student success. So this little image down here at the bottom with the puzzle pieces, if you think about it as like the students, the families and TRECA, it takes each one of us to come together to help that student be as successful as they can be. So thank you for your part. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you for that. We will go ahead. I'm not seeing any questions at this time, so we'll go ahead and move on to the Family Guide to Google. And I'll go ahead and I'll turn this over to our teacher group that is handling this topic.
So these are the topics that we're going to cover. We have them broken down, a couple per teacher. We're going to go over authorizing your Google account, which will be done in Brightspace. accessing your Google Mail, sending and receiving emails, using folders and contacts, accessing Google Documents, and turning items in from your Google Drive to Brightspace. This is actually probably one of the most important, and also using Google Meet for teacher help. So to authorize your student's Google account, most of them probably have already done this, but if they haven't, this is just a good run through of exactly how you do it. This is going to occur in Brightspace. So after logging into Brightspace and you're on the home page, on the right side of the page, there's a little section for Google Apps. It'll say Google Apps, and you'll see a little authorize button. You're going to want to click that blue authorize button. And once you select that authorize button, a small window will pop up and it'll ask you to sign in with Google. The nice thing is your @students.trecca.org will already be populated. You only have to put in your Brightspace username. That's the first part of your email. So pop that in the little window, your Brightspace username, click next. And then, I don't know if I have control of those. The next window will ask you for your password. So you put your Brightspace username in, you click next, you put in your Brightspace password, the exact same one that you use, you click next, and then you'll be prompted to a welcome to your new account window. So a window will come up, there's a lot of words, you can read the words, and then you're just gonna select accept. The last window you receive will want you to allow Brightspace to access your Google account. So you just need to click allow at the bottom of the screen. You might have to scroll down to the page to see the accept buttons. It just depends on how long it is. So it'll just, like I said, it just is confirming that Brightspace and your Trecca Google account are going to communicate with each other. So to access your Gmail or your Google Mail, now that you have Google and Brightspace linked, the home page will now show your Google Mail, your Drive, and any upcoming events that you might have. So those will also be right on your home page under the apps. So you'll see an M for Mail, you'll see the Drive, and you can access them right there. So to get to your Google Mail, you just need to click where it says Unread Mail next to the envelope icon. The number in parentheses will tell you how many unread emails you have. So obviously you want to keep that number as low as possible. And as a parent, if you see that number high, that's something you might want to address with your child. Maybe sit there. Sometimes students get overwhelmed with emails and they kind of like look at them and they just pile up. So maybe sitting down and organizing their emails with them, cleaning their email box out, that might be a really good rainy day task. So to send and receive emails, now that you've clicked the Google Mail, your mail is going to open to your home page. This is where you send and receive your emails. The main portion of the screen is where you'll see received emails. So all the emails that, the hopefully 5 to 7 emails that you have will be right there, not 200, right? You just need to click on the email for it to open. So it'll be, highlighted. You just click it, it'll open it. The first time you open Google Mail, you'll see Get Started with Gmail at the top of the page with customizing options. Simply click the X inside the box to get rid of that window. So you don't even have to deal with that. And that will be a one and done kind of thing. Once you click and open the email, you can read the body, reply if you need to. At the bottom of the email, there'll be a little reply or reply all. If this is an email that was copied a bunch of people on it, and you want to respond to all those people, make sure you reply all. And if you want to return to your inbox, hit the back arrow in the email. So to write a new email, click on the pencil in the upper left-hand corner. A new message will pop up in a smaller window. It's usually towards the bottom right-hand side. So you'll have a smaller window open in the bottom right corner. You're able to make this window larger by clicking the double-sided arrow. Start typing the name of the Trecca staff member you want to email. So whether it's your teacher, your advisor, your counselor, the attendance office, as soon as you start to type it, it'll probably begin to populate for you. Type a title in the subject field and then your message in the body. When the email's ready, click the send button. And if you need to attach a picture or a document to the email, click the paperclip. And if you want to discard the email, click the trash can. And I have all of those highlighted at the bottom: send, paperclip, and trash. Trecca staff are already in the student's contacts tag, so if you just start to type their teacher's name, probably within a couple of letters, their whole name is going to populate, and you can just click it to pop it in the email.
I'm Nancy Kimmel, and I'm going to present the next part of it. And we are definitely trying to make sure everyone is aware how important the email section is. The teachers and advisors and counselors often communicate via email, so it's very important for everybody to know exactly how to use it. So going off of what Mrs. Kearns had said, when you have your Google email open on the left-hand side, you're going to notice that there are a lot of different folders. You're going to see your inbox, your sent items, your drafts, and spam, which is always fun, and then your trash can. But as your student is going through their classes, a lot of times emails can get lost, or you want to make sure you put emails from specific teachers in their classrooms in a folder. So I wanted to show you how to make folders within your email. You see the little gray arrow pointing to the Create New Label. This is going to be right in your email when you have it open on the left-hand side. You're going to click on Create New Label. And you'll see in the center where it says to make new folders, this new label little box comes up. And you can put in your students all of their classes. You can put English, math, science, whatever they have, and make a folder for each of their classes. You may also want to make folders for things like testing, when you get testing information or things like that, so that you can have those all in one place to easily find those emails. This really helps the student to stay organized and be able to look for emails with information that maybe their teachers had sent. You can also nest. It says nest label under. So if you wanted to put a folder underneath your students' classes, you could nest it under. As you see, it says Nancy's classes. So I nested English, math, science, and social studies underneath the general Nancy's classes so that I could find those easily. That way they kind of all stick together. So within this email, Mrs. Kearns went over how to create an email, which you just have to click that little pencil that's in that upper left-hand corner right by the inbox. You just click that little pencil and it will open up an email for you. But we have a couple of ways of doing that. If we could go to the next slide. So to create an email, you can do it right within your Gmail, and it's just that little pencil. I just put that there again. You can also, if for say you open up an email and the teacher's name isn't popping up, or you weren't quite sure who somebody was or how to spell their last name to get it in there, you can also go under the contacts. Everybody has contacts, and you can open that up and search for a teacher. And the way you do that, you're still in your Gmail. You're still on that same page with Gmail, but in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a little waffle. It's in the middle there, and it looks like 9 little dots. We call that a waffle. And if you click on that waffle in the upper right-hand corner this time, you are going to see different options. And one of them we're going to talk about shortly is the Google Drive. And there you'll see contacts. If you click on that, it will open up and you can click on the directory. And you can type in the teacher's name or as much of it as you know, or whoever you're looking for. Once you find your name, like I have there, Nancy Kimmel, you can start an email by clicking the little email button. So that's just another option to be able to find teachers and advisors and counselors that you are looking for. Another thing we wanted to show you was how to access your Google Documents. So this is going to be a little bit separate from your Gmail. You have your email accounts, but your Google Documents are going to be stored in your Drive. And these are going to be things like they were Word documents. Now they're under Google. So you'll have Google Slides and Google Docs and Google Sheets and all of those types of documents that your student may need to submit for class. And the way you get to them, you can either be in your email or you can just go to google.com And again, you're going to click on that waffle in the upper right-hand corner. And you're going to click that drive, that triangle, which has the drive. And once you click on that, you'll see a place for My Drive. This is where you can save documents. And what I like to do is make a new folder within this drive for each class. So if your student has English, you would have, an English folder, a math folder, a science folder, a social studies folder, most important, Mr. Miller. And you're going to want to have these folders to keep your students' documents so that they can turn them in for class. So you have your email, but now we have a place where students can store their documents that they are creating for their classes. And Mr. Miller will kind of take it away and show you more about that stuff.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ross Miller. I'm a social studies teacher up at the high school. So we're going to focus here on turning in and submitting items from your Google Drive to Brightspace. So I had to split this up into two parts. So there's a couple different assignment types that your student might have to turn in. We're going to focus on Dropbox assignments today. So we want to assume at this point that your student has completed the assignment within Google Drive. And it might take a couple times for them to get used to how to turn in a document. They might not have done it before. Some of our students use Google at their brick and mortar school, which is great, but it always helps to get a little bit of a refresher on how to submit assignments. So if you look down at the bottom left, you can see that a student will open the assignment and they have to select share. This is how it looks when you open a Google Doc. It might be a little bit different depending on what kind of assignment your student has. It also might vary on your student's teachers. So each teacher might have some directions within their classroom. For my American history class, it's in block 1, week 1. So I would encourage you to check with your student and see, it's probably in the beginning of the teacher's class if they have instructions on how to deal with Google Docs and how to turn them in so they can earn credit on their assignment. So after they select share, there'll be a pop-up that you can see on the bottom right. They want to go to copy link. I have that highlighted in the bottom right-hand corner. So that's what they would do. They click on that, and that will put the link into their clipboard. So I would, again, one of the things that you might encourage your student to do is have 2 tabs open at the top. So they could have 1 tab open with Brightspace, and then they can be working on their Google Doc in another tab up at the top. That way they won't have to close in and out of different tabs or windows. And judging from the Google Meets that I've had with students, and we'll talk about that in the next slide, but a lot of students already have 7, 8, or 9 tabs open at the top. So I think they're probably used to having multiple tabs open. So this is what it looks like in my classroom. On the left-hand side, this is a Dropbox assignment. They will open it up, and then there's a text submission area. And there's my kindergarten-like handwriting there. You paste the link into that little area. One of the things that I've noticed, the little box underneath text submission is small. So students might have a little bit of an issue submitting something there. They might have to expand the box a little bit. So if they can't paste the link in there, just if you're sitting there with them for whatever reason, you might want to just show them how to expand a box. And if they're not sure how to do that, or if they run into any problems, they can always email or contact their teacher. Once you paste the link in there, that's sort of like dropping it into the mailbox. And when you hit submit in the bottom right, that mails it off to the teacher, and they get a notification that the student submitted a Dropbox. Last slide, we look at a really neat feature that we have at Trecca called Google Meet. If you've been with Trecca for a couple years, you might remember it. We used a program called Jigsaw. Last year, I think it was just last year, we switched over to Google Meet. It's received overwhelmingly positive feedback from teachers, students, parents. Super easy. That's what we're using right now. So the step-by-step instructions, you want to make sure that you schedule a Google Meet, or that your student schedules a Google Meet. There's a couple different ways to do this. Some teachers have a permanent link and it's the same time every day, might be 2 o'clock. Some teachers have individual sessions and they might use a scheduler to have sort of help your student pick a time. It can be as short as 5 minutes. It can be as long as an hour, just kind of depends. That brings you into step 2, which is attending the Google Meet. There'll be a link that's sent out. In my class, I send out the link in the morning because it's different every time. There's an example in green in the bottom. It'll look kind of like that. Step 3 is your student participating in the Google Meet. We've got a lot of different tools available. Microphone, camera. They'll be able to see their teachers. Teachers, depending on how comfortable the student is, you can hear or see the student. And then we have a couple really good features, breakout rooms, and one of the things that I use a lot and that I know a lot of teachers use is a Jamboard, and you can kind of work collaboratively in the same whiteboard area. It's a really neat tool. And then lastly, I would say is kind of like a debrief, especially after the first meeting that you have. Check in with your student. How did it go? What can be improved? What worked well, what didn't work well? How do you schedule another Google Meet? So just keep up with it. And sometimes it works really well, and sometimes there's different ways to meet with your teacher, depending on how your student felt about it. So that's a brief overview of Google Meet.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions on that section for Google Meet? I especially liked not only schedule your Google Meet, but attend the Google Meet. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions at this time. If you think of any after this session, feel free to reach out to myself, or you can reach out to a teacher and advisor. We do have a survey that you can complete that we would like to get your feedback on how your feeling was for this session, if it went well, if you have ideas for future sessions. And we are here always looking for ways to reach our families and what we can do to improve things for you. So I believe we are finished for today. I will post this recording in Brightspace for those that were not able to attend live with us. And if you came in late, if there's anything that you want to go back that you missed, you can go back and watch it that way. So thank you. We will have upcoming sessions in November with some new topics that we feel will be beneficial. So please watch Brightspace for those. So thank you for joining us.